Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So today I thought I would show you some Pelikans in my collection. I started out originally with the Pelikan M1000 here. I just wanted to actually sort of really have a look and see what all the hype was about the oversized nib and how bouncy it is. And so I decided just to go for just a plain M1000. I decided to go for the green version, the green stripe. It's a lovely pen. A little bit on the plain side in terms of green or blue or black. But the nib itself, it has a number 8 size nib, and this nib is amazing and very bouncy. It's an 18 karat gold nib. You'll see here when I rotate it, the feed. And this in itself is a really nice bouncy nib, and unfortunately, I got this with a medium nib, and I was a little bit disappointed with it to start with, and the reason why is that this medium nib actually writes like a triple or quadruple broad, and you get this a lot with Pelikans, unfortunately. So you might get a fine that actually turns out to be an extra fine, or a fine that turns out to be a medium or a broad or a double broad. There isn't a lot of consistency with Pelikan nibs, or at least the M1000 nibs. Now these were actually made, I believe, out of house by Bock. The M800 nibs used to be as well, but Pelikan have now brought those in-house. So I then decided to try the M800 range. And my first M800 was the Renaissance Brown, and I got this in a medium nib. And again, I wasn't overly hammered with it. It's much of a harder nib, less of a bounce compared to the M1000. But I love the material on this, and this sort of cracked ice effect is just truly amazing. The way the light just reflects off, and then you have the end finial here. You'll see the Pelikans. There you go. So as I said, again, this is an 18 karat gold nib. I got this in a medium. And this is inked up at the moment, so there is a little bit of a nib creep on that nib. Now this is a broad nib though, so I wasn't that happy with the medium nib. I found the medium was a little bit more on the fine side of medium that I like, and I like a lot of medium nibs. So I found that it wasn't perfect nib. So at that point, my next Pelikan, I'm sold on the size, the not only the length, the thickness of the pen and the section, the overall weight, being a piston filler. So I then decided, when Pelikan released the M800 Royal Gold Raden, I decided, well, I'm going to get this in a broad nib this time. So I bought it in a broad nib, and I absolutely loved it. So this comes with the original nib. You can see there, it's a broad nib, and it's very wet, and it just writes so smoothly. You see a little bit of the ink there pooling on the feed. And again, this is a piston filler. All the M800 range or M805s are, but this is such a stunning pen. So it has abalone shell in the body in these gold stripes, and you can see it how it reflects as I rotate and move the pen, so that they are individually layered in there to create those gold stripes. It's truly amazing. And you also actually have the signature of the person that actually did this pen, the artist. So again, that's something special. But these are not cheap, the Royal Gold Radens, or any of the Raden pens from Pelikan. So this I absolutely love, and I have this inked up at the moment with Pilot of Oshizuku in a hoe, which is a lovely gold ink. So at that point I decided, well, I like the broad nibs better than the medium nibs. So maybe I should get a replacement broad nib. So I did just that for the Renaissance Brown. And I then also, the next pen that was released more recently is the Ocean Swirl. And I decided to actually get this in a broad nib. And here is the Ocean Swirl. So it has varying levels of darkness, obviously because of the ocean comes in varying colours and hues, and so there are areas that are more lighter than other areas of the pen, and areas that are more darker. Now some people don't like that. Some people complain. Some people have returned their pens because in the Pelikan marketing material, like the pen was all light, or you could see, like you could not see any of the dark areas. So some people have sort of rallied against that and returned their pens. Personally, I like this. I like the contrasting levels of darkness and light. I think it actually makes the pen look more dramatic as well. And again, I got this with a lovely broad nib. So as you can see now, I'm pretty much set on broad nibs, and this one is inked up as well. And then after that, I've been wanting to get a vibrant blue for some time, and there are some available on eBay. They're not sort of regular price. They tend to be a little bit overpriced. And I found a UK retailer that still has some in stock. And so I thought, well, does he really have them in stock? So I sent him a message and said, hey, look, do you really have this in stock? And he came back and said, yep, I do. And yep, I've got it in a broad. So I said, done deal. And I bought it, and it arrived the next day. And again, like, this is very much like the Renaissance Brown. It has the cracked ice effect going through the body. This is an older Pelikan model, but I've always wanted this model. So knowing how I like the size and the weight of these pens, I decided, I've got to get this before it disappears. And again, as I just mentioned, I have a lovely broad nib on that one as well. And these are number 6 size nibs, 18 karat gold nibs. You can actually see here, like, you can just see through the cap. So there is translucency here on the cap itself. And you can see it as I put the nib in there. You can see it's slightly translucent. The same really as the Renaissance Brown. But it's such a lovely pen. People ask me which of the favourites do I have here out of the Pelikan? Which one would I use the most? And that's really difficult. Like the Renaissance Brown, the Vibrant Blue, and the Ocean Swirl all were around about the same price range. And they tend to come in about the same price range as the M1000 if you're buying in the UK or in Europe. Mainly because they got a slightly better pattern and less plainer pattern. The Royal Goldwarden was about, let's see, probably 3 or 4 times the price of the other M800s. So that tends to be one of my favourites more, but I love all of these. I love the Renaissance Brown, I love the Vibrant Blue, and I love the Ocean Swirl. Out of all of them, I would say I would use all of the M800s more than the M1000. The M1000, as I've mentioned, is a medium nib, but it writes like a triple, quadruple broad. It's so wet and juicy. It's just impractical to use, like in a journal or in a notebook. But at the end of the day, it's a lovely nib, a very springy, very bouncy nib, but it's not just one that I can use on a daily basis. So what I'll do, I'll show you the weight of these. So the M800s are inked up, but I'll show you these. So the pen itself capped, you're looking at 30 grams. I take the cap itself, just under 10 grams, and then the pen itself is just under 21 grams. So all of the M800s are going to be around that in weight. Now the M1000, just to show you the difference. Now this is uninked, but this is 34 grams uninked for the entire pen. Around just over 10 grams for the cap. And just under 18 grams for the body. So these will actually have a slightly higher level of ink capacity than the M800s, and you can see the difference here in terms of length as well. See if I can move these in. Yeah, so there's a little bit of a difference here between the M800s and M1000s. The M1000s are more the oversized pen, although I would say that the M800s are pretty much sort of bordering on the line of a large to oversized pen anyway. So the M1000 is even more oversized. But I'll show the difference in the nibs as well, just so you can see this. Let's see if I can get these right. So there you go. So you can see the difference in the nibs here. So you've got the M1000 on the left, and then the M800 on the right. There's quite a difference in size there. So you can see why the M1000 nib would be a little bit more bouncy and springy. So there you have it, really. It's So I have a number of Pelikans in my collection. I think I will probably buy more over the time as well, because I really do like the Pelikans, more so the M800 range than the M1000, but I still would like to maybe get an M1000 Warden at some point, or if they do an M1000 in one of these like lovely cracked ice effects, then I might even pick one up when they do one like that. So thanks for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.